Welcome everyone, this is Pine Leaf Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO, and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us, Ariendis!
Hey everybody.
And Maven!
Hey y'all! We're lean and mean tonight, folks.
We're lean and mean today, but it looks like that we don't have a lean schedule.
No.
Not at all.
Of course, when everybody's here, we got nothing, but...
Oh well.
So, let's see what's in for this week, and we'll begin with Bull Roarer Update 21 Build 6, which is the last build before Mordor is released, because Mordor is going to be released on Monday, July 31st. Servers will be down from 10 a.m. through 3 p.m., I believe.
Yeah, I think they said 3, didn't they?
Yeah, down to 3. So therefore, hopefully you weren't taking the day off in order to play Mordor.
Actually, we should take the day off playing Mordor, because Mordor is going to be serious crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Come Monday night.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Mordor will be a little bit crowded. So you'll have to try to squeeze your way through there.
That's right.
But
of course, the good thing about that though is the area is pretty mob infested. So the cool thing about having so many people there is you probably can get a lot of collection quests done without having to be bothered by mobs, because so many people have been all through there already and they're all defeated the mobs. So it's like nobody will be around. You can run through and pick all the stuff up.
Then it respawns on top of you.
Well, true. There is always that possibility.
Well, let's see what is in this build number 6. This build number 6 is mainly a polish one. It is not the final build that's being released on Monday. There are a few things that did not make this build that are... They said that they've already gotten the fixes, they've already implemented it yet, but didn't get through all the approvals in order to get into Bull Roarer. So hopefully those would have all the approvals by the time Monday hits. And they give this big list of things in there that have changed since the last one. I think overall it's pretty much a lot of similar things in there, except polishing things here and there. They still don't have the features on the women's faces, for example, so a couple of touches there that still need to be fixed. Hopefully that will be ready by Monday. And there are a couple of instances that have mobs that are going into anti-exploit mode. Now, they named 3 of them in particular. One of them I knew about because I'm the one who sent in the bug report, and that was Siege of Gondomar. One of them is We Cannot Get Out, which is an epic storyline one, so they need to get that one fixed before they go live. So hopefully they'll have that all finished up by then. But as I said, it's mainly tweaks in order to get ready for the release. And therefore, they've also had various things related to Mordor that they were speaking of. For example, there was an interview with Maid of Lions where they were talking about the epic storyline and how you can get to Book 9, what you have to do in order to be ready, in order to go right into Book 9, what prerequisites there will be, and the like. Because this is going to be the conclusion to Epic Volume 4, The Strength of Sauron, and it's a very important point in the storyline.
Yeah. You think?
We've been waiting 10 years for this, right?
I know. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the epic, to the epic story. I mean, he, in the interview, Made of Lions basically said, I mean, you pick right up. Like they left us, right at a very critical moment, and you basically just pick right up, as you would. I mean, because like now anybody that's now doing it will just naturally flow from one book to the next like you normally do. But it's kind of like, it's like a serial where we've had the cliffhanger for months. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, and just before we recorded the show, I headed over into the Slag Hills and parked myself next to Aragorn so that I would be ready for the epic storyline.
What a good idea. I'm going to have to remember to do that. I'll probably come into the game and there will be like 100 people crowded around Aragorn.
That will probably be a likely thing to happen, yeah. And there was also an interview at LOTRO.com with Ted Naismith. Naismith, okay. Talking about the artwork that he did for the Blackgate and for Mordor.
Well, that's cool.
And also, there was a interview on the development of the High Elf with Robert Ty and Todd DeMille. And that is our art director and our senior animator, since obviously those would be two very important members in developing a character race.
From the interview, it makes it sound like it was a real team effort. Like they really worked together and put a lot of thought and effort into this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it will need to be because otherwise things will get, clunky.
Uh-huh.
Especially for the High Elves, who are supposed to be very graceful. In fact, some things are so graceful, Terry Adwin is doing the Bolshoi ballet kinship.
That's right. That's right. We'll be balleting our way across Middle Earth.
And then, of course, we have our Lotro Beacon, which is a number
chock full of news.
Yes, number 20, and we have a few. They give a shout out to Faust von Erith, who's made a number of panoramic screenshots on doing that, and the local Lotro Wiki has been gathering every piece of information they could about Mordor so that they could provide you with the latest up-to-date information on it. And Je Online, you here speak French? I guess that's a no. All right. All right. Yes, a French language hub for Lotro players for you. A shout out to them. And let's see anything else. Oh yes, here is our weekly comment. And the question is, what is the final line in the tale of the chicken versus Mount Doom?
What?
That right there is a question. I think my favorite comment from the forums was, and Sauron laughed, winner, winner, chicken dinner, fidget spinner.
Oh, jeez.
That has got to be my favorite.
All right. That's what you're going to say is, welcome, Colonel Sauron. Yeah.
Hot wings.
Hot wings.
Get your hot wings.
I don't know. I was just having this image. You ever see a movie called Joe versus the Volcano?
Oh gosh, yeah, a long time ago. It was a
No.
strange movie.
Yes, I was just thinking of at the end when everything else, the island sinks and all this, and then the luggage starts popping up again.
Ah!
So I can imagine the ring blowing up, Mordor, everything destroyed in Mordor, and then luggage popping up out of the ground. Yeah.
Luggage popping out. Yeah, that'd be funny. We were talking about getting Corey to Mount Doom as a chicken. We were trying to figure out what title he'd get. Would you get fried chicken as your title? Then I came up with hot wings. I think hot wings is a better title. Hot wings.
Yes.
But so we may be trying. I think we're going to try to do that for during the annual fundraiser if we can. I mean, to do that, we're going to need folks that are at cap works to cap, to escort him through, because he wants to actually fling himself into Mount Doom.
Now, how does a chicken get through the gate?
Apparently, Druid's Fire told me that Pinion told her that they're working on a way to make that work.
Okay. Of course, someone may like Pinion.
True. Yeah. So I mean, I guess it can't. You could. I guess right now you could get the chicken to the gate, but the chicken's going to insta die if it gets too close to the gate right now.
Right.
But they're working on how to fix that. So stay tuned. Stay tuned, and we could have like flocks and flocks and flocks of chickens ready into Mordor.
I'm still trying to figure out how it is that when I took a level 6 character into Mordor, that I didn't have half the mobs in the next to Mount Doom come flying towards me.
I know. So you came out at because you come out at that little side camp, right? I mean, it's not even like in Udun Foothold.
Right.
You're right. And I mean, there's at least critters pretty close by that go wandering through. I'm surprised you didn't have like an onrush of bats and rockworms and whatever else come running at you.
Yeah, the only mob that came anywhere close to trying to come after me was when a dev spawned in a Marthiel, and everyone else at the camp just started attacking a Marthiel before Marthiel could say, "Hey, look, a level 6." Actually, I think that was a level 16 I had on that time. But because I brought a level 6 and a level 16 there at different times. But yeah, level 16, I can go after that, And then the 115 started pounding on a Marthiel.
Right. I was kind of hoping we'd get something like that this weekend. We suppose we still might.
And then on our screenshot of the week, Fredane inspects his gear during some downtime in this week's screenshot of the week, and thanks Fredane for the Rangers of the West for sending this week's screenshot. Now it is time for us to find out what's on sale.
The free sample of the week for now through August the 3rd is one sturdy steel key with the coupon code MORESTURDY, but it's MORSTURDY. There's no E. On sale this week, that's 20% off of expansions and expansion quests, enhanced XP supply and Hornburg token, skirmishes and instances, and 100% mark acquisition boosts.
Now, what I'm trying to figure out, though, is why they chose More Sturdy as the name, seeing that this is the old key rather than the Mordor key.
It's always been that, I think, whenever they've had the key as a special.
It's always been More Sturdy? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. But I do think it's a little bit of a tease that they're making that the freebie when you can't use it to open the boxes in Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is terrible.
Unless they changed it, and because if you Mordor and you've got more sturdy, so
yeah, would be
unless
nice.
they adjusted it. But
I haven't seen a single
unlikely.
one of those keys. I don't know where you get them. I assume they'll be in the store once the expansion opens up.
Mm-hmm.
One would think. We'll have to find that out when the opens up. Let's head into our site news, and we'll begin with community events for July 28th through August 3rd. And anything exciting happening this week after Weatherstock? Let's see. One does not simply walk into Mordor at Gladden Server Slag Hills.
And the subtitle under that says, "But guess what? We're walking into Mordor."
When? Monday, July 31st at 9 p.m. server time.
So I guess it's a kinship, huh?
Yeah, meet at the camp, right to the Black Gate. Switch from run to walk and simply walk into Mordor. Hosted by the Rangers of the West.
On Gladden.
Send a tell to Michaela for Fellowship Invite, or just tag along, and that is on Gladden. That'd be an interesting thing for me to try to do. Let's see, how far am I along on the epic storyline on Gladden right now? I have to go and check and see that I'm set up and all ready to talk to Aragorn and all that stuff. I just don't know how far I'm along on the epic, and if I'm close enough to it, maybe I could get myself set up tomorrow so that I could be maybe ready to join in on this, assuming I don't completely forget.
And that is the thing, you have to have done the epic, right? Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to just walk into Mordor.
Right. So therefore, if you're on Gladden, or at least have a level 105 alt on Gladden, I know. I presume you two don't have any of those, right?
No,
I don't.
My Gladden characters are babies.
Okay. They're not going to get up to 105, but right.
No.
You walk into Mordor.
Unless I Arya of the Valar them, which I'm not going to do.
Yeah. You walk into Mordor on a different server.
Right. At a much more distant time. Well, yeah, I'll walk. I don't know. Well, I guess I'll walk into Mordor. I noticed that that's apparently a title, by the way. Now, walked into Mordor is a title. I just saw somebody with it.
I would presume I presume you're on Bulwer still?
Well, I'm not now, but I was before we started taping.
Okay. Very well. Let's head to a poll, and we have a poll that's asking, what's the first thing you will do when Mordor is released?
I know what I'm doing. I'm going to the vault and pull out all those scrolls and crystals and getting my weapons all topped off, imbuement-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Very first thing. That I can walk into Mordor with my imbued weapons topped off.
All right. First thing you're going to do is to get your weapons imbued.
Absolutely.
Yes. I suppose
I've been saving up. I've been collecting those scrolls and crystals. Ever since we knew what that this thing was coming out, and it's like I'm so looking forward to having space in my vault again. Because those scrolls only stack to 10, and you've got to have 5 per legacy per weapon, and I've got 4 weapons. I've got 2 capped alts. So, and I'm not bragging because Pineless got loads of capped alts, but anyway, so I've got everything, but it's taking up a lot of space in the vault.
Yeah, but most of my alts don't bother.
Oh, that's right.
Capping their weapons.
Well, yeah, I figured that I'm doing that because I'm not really going to have much of an advantage any other way in Mordor to start off. I mean, on Bull Roar, I have, because even with Glordriel, when I transferred her over, I took all her virtues up to 20. I did everything I could to buff her out. Got her the armor, and stuff like that. Well, I'm not going to have that on real Glordriel. I mean, she's going in the way she is right now. So, all that shadow and all that stuff, I mean, I figure she's going to need every advantage she can get. So having topped off imbued weapons is like, I figure that's the least that I should be doing to get her ready to go in there.
Very well. Now, we did have actually some options that were listed here. One was the epic story, one was the Black Book of Mordor, one was side quest, one was simply walk into, and the other one was other. So I presume you're going to be saying other.
That would be other.
Head into
well,
the
and
vault.
then right after that, I'm heading off to the epic story. I can't. I mean, seriously, I'm gonna wait. No way. I got to see how they did this. I'm so curious to know how they do this part of the book. I'm on pins and needles. How about you, Pine Leaf? What are you gonna do?
That's going to be. I know that when I answered the poll, I answered the epic story. But, of course, the first thing I'm literally going to be doing is, assuming I remember to, is to log on to Evernight and log into the character that's going to get the aria to make sure that aria is on the right server.
That's a good point. Yes, yeah.
Now, whether or not I have to apply it then, or whether I get this piece of paper now in there that I could worry about applying it later, so I could then log off, go into my main character, and then do the epic storyline.
Yeah, I gotta do the now. Let's see. What's your main server usually, Pine Leaf? Where do you usually live?
That would be Crick Hollow.
Oh, that's right, Crick Hollow. Okay.
Most likely I'll be going there. Now, I do have a YouTube series that is going to be starting with the release of... Actually, I have 2 YouTube series that are going to be starting. So
wow.
That's the tricky thing with it. And because I had this captain thing I was doing, right? So that was to tide me over into Mordor. So therefore, I will have the 2 new series. One of them is actually the starting of the final chapter for an existing series, and that's my Pine Leaf and Gondor series. And that's going to have an episode posted Monday night for Tuesday, and so therefore, I will have to at least do part of the epic storyline on Laurelin in order to get that set up. So that might not be the first thing I do, because usually when I record stuff on Laurelin, I wait until it's a little bit later, when the server is a little bit quieter, because I tend to record that one on Laurelin because I can record during prime hours without having prime crowds, because it's midnight over in England.
Right, yeah, that's a good point.
So therefore, the first thing I'll try to do is to go to Crick Hollow. I mean, after getting that aria thing fixed up, is go into Crick Hollow, do some of the epic storyline, try to at least do the end of the epic storyline there on Crick Hollow. Then I could sort out what I'm going to do for recording my episode, because one of the series I'm doing, as I said, is the Gondor series. The other one I'm starting up will be my new series with the High Elf. So I have to get that all set up and everything all ready for that, and we'll see how that works out.
Have you decided what class you're going to do?
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this one constantly. And I finally decided that because in this last build, they changed the scream so that they're not giving those battle cries every single scream.
Right. Thank heavens.
And because of that, I can now think I could be able to do the minstrel one, because that's what I was wanting to do. But
okay.
But I decided not to do it because of the way the screams were two builds ago. Now I think I can do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about I have 2 accounts, so on the one account I'll do my high elf will just be the champion as part of the Bolshoi ballet, and on the other account I'll probably do a high elf minstrel and do the aria, so that they're up, which will be in another set of imbued weapons. Maybe I won't do that. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, I'm glad they did that, because I really wanted to do a minstrel, and I was like, I'm not going to run around with having to listen to that all day. And I'm glad that they've toned it down just a tad.
Yeah, though, of course, 2 seconds after the build went up, there were complaints about, you nerfed the screams!
Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, my goodness.
You just can't please everybody.
Yeah, that's for sure. They said they're not giving the battle shouts loud. What do you mean they're not giving them often enough? They're giving it
often enough? Oh my gosh. I swear when Sans Winda had hers, that she had leveled up to 115, it was like she was just incessantly yodeling while she fought. I mean, it's just like, oh my gosh. I mean, we all had to turn even Sans, we all had to turn our combat sound off because it was just so much. It was like, oh my God. And was it you or somebody else that was saying when they did their 115 that they're carrying sometimes it was a guy elf, but sometimes he was in the girl's voice and sometimes in the guy's voice when they were doing the shout.
That was doing when I was doing it at level 6 in Keladin.
Oh, was it? Oh! I didn't realize. I thought it was at level cap.
No, it couldn't
really?
have been level cap because I have not had anyone at level cap during the vote war.
But it was you that said that, huh? That was doing both. That's pretty funny.
I think more than one of us noticed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And Ariandis, I know you don't have anyone at cap, so it's unlikely you'll do the new epic storyline or the Black Book. I guess you won't be doing any of the things that are listed there. But
well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Are you going to roll a high elf, or are you not getting the package? So
I haven't quite decided yet. I guess it kind of depends. If I don't get the expansion at all, I'll just, be enjoying watching other people's stream and other people's videos. If I do get the expansion, I'll probably do the one with the aria, and I'll roll maybe a high elf champion or something that I know how to play, and kind of just whoosh it up there and play the Mordor stuff. So we'll see. I haven't really decided yet.
What level is your real champion?
53. So I know that would be a big jump, like just adjustment-wise, between the stuff that you have at 53 and the stuff that you have at 10. What would that be? I just blinked. What is the current level cap right now?
Well, 105 is right
105. Yeah. So I would be jumping 50 levels of content. So I don't know. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah, that can be a bit tricky.
Mm-hmm.
I have enough trouble adjusting to a champion, and I've leveled one all the way to cap already. And now we also have another article by Arid, who is asking whether or not the release date for Mordor is going to be pushed back, and I think we've already answered that question.
At least as of today.
As of today.
It's going to be Monday. It could change, but probably low probability.
Yes. Barring a severe storm going through Boston on Monday.
Right.
Don't jinx it, Pine Leaf. Don't jinx it.
Okay, you got a point there. And also, we have part 145 of the family line, Namari, or Namaria. You know how to pronounce that, Maven?
I think it's Namarie.
Namarie.
Yeah.
All right, I guess.
Pretend you're Italian. Namarie.
Well, it's hard to figure because I'm not sure exactly how a double A would be pronounced because how's a double A different from a long A?
I don't know. I don't know that it necessarily is, other than maybe a single A. I don't know. I'm making this up. Could be the single A is more of an ah sound, like at, and the double A may be more of an ah sound. I don't know.
I don't think there. From the impression I get is that the single A would be an ah. It's just it'll be a shorter.
Actually, I didn't even know that Namarie was spelled with two A's. Are you sure that's not just a typo?
Well, if it is, he's consistently making a typo, but then I would have to admit that spelling has not exactly been Tim's strong point, so...
Because when I look it up, it's just one A. With an accent over the A.
Maybe he has trouble doing accents, and so he did a double A instead of the accent.
Oh, that could be. That could be why it's a double A, yeah, because Namarie, that's to show... I think that's to show that's where the emphasis is.
We're talking about, is this Sindarin or is it Quenya or what?
I think it's Sindarin. No,
okay.
Quenya, I think.
Yeah, because I get the impression, at least in Sindarin and maybe Quenya also, is that a long A is just one that's extended in length, and if that's the case, then...
Well, I thought it was that the rule normally is that the accent is normally on the second to the last syllable.
Yeah.
But if you want the accent to be on a different syllable, you put the accent mark in to note that that's the syllable it should be. Otherwise, it would be Namarie. And this way it's spelled, it's Namarie. I mean, because you're putting your accent on the A.
No, but Ie is a diphthong. So
it is.
That is.
It's
that
considered
would be
a diphthong. It'd be one letter. Okay.
Yeah, so that would be one. That would be one syllable.
So that goes to show you how good I am at linguistics. Not.
All right.
And I did just look it up. If you type in it with both A's, you do see results. So maybe it's
interesting.
Just. It
so I guess it's both, huh?
It could just be both.
Huh. Which is so Tolkien-ish, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah, that is. So it's probably been spelled both ways.
In Google, when I typed it in with two A's, it still gave me the single A result. But
yeah, it gives you both of them. Yeah. So therefore, let's then head into our new player question. And what is your question for this week?
My question this week kind of goes off of the questing that I've been doing in Moria. I wanted to try to keep following the epic story, but it jumped a couple of levels, and it's currently, I think, around level 56, and I'm currently around level 53. Yeah. And so I was trying to think of some other ways to gain experience besides just the landscape quests in Moria, and I thought, okay, well, what about skirmishes? And so my question this week is, what are some of the best skirmishes for gaining experience? Now, I know that it will depend on, or I'm guessing it depends on what encounters you get, whether you do single, duo, or fellowship, and stuff like that. But just in general, what are some of the best skirmishes for gaining XP?
All right. Before we go into the skirmishes, I should remind you that you also have the resource instances. Do you do crafting?
Not much.
Okay, not much. Then it won't mean as much to you for but sometimes I do the resource instances just for questing in their own occasion. Mm-hmm. So you can go into those. The scholar one is very easy to get to because it's in that path between the Chamber of Crossroads and the 21st Hall.
Uh-huh.
So it's very easy to get to, and the wood one is not too far from the 21st Hall. It's near where you.
It's kind of down and around the corner, isn't it? I mean, it's like you go.
Yeah, it's pretty close to. There's this dwarf that you do earlier in the epic storyline around level 54, where you have to go and protect. Actually, there are two of them, but one of the two that you have that you have the choice of protecting is near that wood instance. The third one, the metal one, is down in the Redhorn Lode, so that's why it's a pain to get to. But I do the Scholar one a lot because of that. And I also like to do the legendary quests, the ones that are in Dovin View, the Mithril Slaves, and the ones that you need those garnets to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if the Mithril Slaves and the school one, the one where you're going against where you have all the orcs that are in training, fight those against. So going against those two also, it allows you a little variety in order doing, and those are all daily, so you could consider doing those. But as for the real experience concerning skirmish-wise, to answer your actual question, I would say one of the ones that has a larger mob count. Now, I would presume that is it champion or what?
Yes, it's a champion.
Okay, champion. Yeah, champion. Then you'll want one that has a larger mob count on it. Something like Tuckborough. If you can handle Icy, that would be fine, but at your level, Icy can still be a little brutal. So you might want to test the waters of it and see how well you're doing on that project. Attack at Dawn. I did a run of Attack at Dawn today, and I was shocked when at the end of it I finished it in 10 minutes. In less than 10 minutes.
Wow.
Now, this was with a level 30 character, so therefore that's still when it's in the nerf range. When skirmishes are a little bit nerfed below level, at level 40 and under. So therefore it is in the nerf range, so that probably helped me get it through very quick. But I was surprised that a captain could get through that skirmish in 9 minutes.
Wow.
And, okay, I did take both flags during the course of it, and that meant and of course both encounters were tied to the second counterattack, so therefore I had no encounters. So therefore you did have that thing, so I didn't have to worry about the encounters, and there was still 9 minutes to do all the basic stuff in that script. I didn't think you could do it in 9 minutes. and I did it with a captain, which is like one of the last classes you would think would do it in that amount of time. And, a champion I think could squeeze an arc, should be able to beat a captain. But that, of course, was at level 30. At level 53, it may take a little longer on that matter. But I would say Attack at Dawn, Trouble in Tuckborough, because they have more mobs in them. So they'll probably be the ones who get the most experience.
Okay.
I said some people really like to do Icy for that, but Icy can sometimes bite you in the back. The ones to avoid then would be the ones with very low mob counts, and that means Stand at Amansul, which is notorious for slow mob count.
Okay.
Now, some people may want to avoid Gondaman because of its length, and also, I'm not making bets on Gondaman working perfectly on when the patch comes through on Monday. So, therefore, I certainly don't want to be dependent on all ready to go, jump right into Siege of Gondaman, because I'm not betting on that working on Monday.
Right.
Because it's not working in the current build on Bulwer, and yeah, devs are aware of it and all that stuff, but that doesn't mean that they have time to actually fix it. Especially since if they had priority for any of those instances they listed, it should be we cannot get out, because that's crucial to the epic. And
right.
I'm sure that you're doing this so you could, I don't know, have you done We Cannot Get Out yet?
I believe so.
Oh, okay, you have done that at least. All right. All right, but anyway, I'll say the ones that have the large population of mobs to face, and that is, of course, Tuckborough, Icy, and Attack at Dawn. Can also get pretty fair populations in a couple of the epic ones, but you haven't reached them yet, so it sort of won't help you with your question a bit if it's for leveling in more. But later on, some of the you could probably get some from Way, and Way of Smith can get you some decent experience, but they can sometimes be a nuisance also.
Mm-hmm.
As for 21st, well, yeah, it might have the same mob count, but it has enough annoyances that I won't do it. Though I like Dan and Glore for such things.
Okay.
But that's Mirkwood, so you have a time before you'll be ready for that. But if you want something to help you with after you get into Mirkwood, that's one to consider also.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
It does. Thank you very much.
Now you want to know what I do?
Yeah.
Sure. What do you do?
Well, basically what Pine Leaf said. What I've done when I wanted XP and I want XP and I want it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to do it really fast. And I actually, this is not original. I got it from Carve and Aerother taught me. Is Trouble in Tuckborough, but you don't worry about the counterattacks. So you just go through, you do the first, set up, like for example, when you first get in, you kill everybody and you get the flag. You do the flag and then you just immediately go on to the next group and you just leave the counterattack because they don't follow you. They just mill around.
Really?
In their area. Yeah. Now, if you die and come back, you're going to have to deal with the counterattack. So all of that great time saving goes away. But if you're successful at it, then you can just run straight through and not worry about the counterattacks, and you'll get all the way through, and you can get through pretty quick. I also tend to run it a little high, and on a champion you certainly could do this. Well, that's not for X. Well, it is for XP, isn't it? Is it for XP also? It's for marks for sure. I'm not sure if you get get extra XP, don't you? If you run it over, if you run it a couple levels higher than your level.
If you run it a couple of levels higher, then you get the usual bonus for it. The question is whether or not the extra time
is worth the XP.
Is worth the extra XP.
That's true because you are getting XP from all your kills. So when you do the counterattack, you're going to get XP for those mobs. So I don't know. That's how they did it. And I also don't necessarily know that worrying too much about shaving like an extra 2 minutes off your skirmish time is, it's not going to take you that much longer.
Yeah.
To do the counterattacks. And like I said, if you die, then all of that kind of goes to waste because you still have to kind of cleave your way through the counterattacks you've left behind. And then I use Icy actually for medallions for the encounters. Mm-hmm. I've run that repeatedly with my lore master and run it like several levels above my level because the medallions are good for that. And again, it's a time thing. You can kind of harvest the medallions. I would do them I would do the skirmish a few times in a row to get medallions. But I think between the two, I think Tuckborough. But if you get bored, I think I'm not going to sit here and go, I agree with Pineleaf because actually Pineleaf is the expert and I'm not. But it does make sense that Tuckborough and Attack at Dawn and Icy would be the three. That would probably be the most lucrative as opposed, XP per unit of time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I should note that I do not condone skipping the counterattacks.
He does not. No, that's but you just said that at Attack at Dawn, you did some irresponsible stuff. So that's why I had the nerve to say...
What I did at Attack at Dawn is I took both flags, which caused the second counterattack never to happen because I nipped it in the bud.
You heard it here first, folks. Pineleaf skirmish
pretty irresponsible to me.
Yes, that's not irresponsible. In fact, strategically, that's responsible. By taking both gates, you have cleared the way so that the enemy is less powerful. That sounds like to me perfectly responsible from a military tactics point of view.
So was it intentional?
So what you do is you don't pop the first gate. You pop them both at the same time. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
basically.
But actually, normally I would skip the first gate and then pop the second one. But in this case, I popped both gates. Yeah, popped one, then popped the other. which it causes you. It runs the risk of losing two of the encounters that could possibly happen, since two of them are tied to the second counterattack. And if the counterattack doesn't happen, then that does that. But in Tuckborough, I never skipped counterattacks. And besides, if you're going for experience, I don't see the advantage of skipping the counterattacks, because that's where half the experience from the skirmish comes from, is from the counterattacks. Mm-hmm. It's when you're doing it for marks where I would have thought people would normally be doing things like skipping counterattack.
Mm-hmm. That's true, but I do know that they were talking about XP when they were doing that. But yeah, you'd think that. You'd think you'd want to do the speed run to get your marks. But anyway, I kind of enjoyed Tuckborough. It was actually my very first skirmish, and it really scared me, so I didn't go back to it for the longest time.
Yes.
First of all, I love the music, but to have that music on for my very first skirmish, it just made my blood pressure go so high. I mean, it was like the music was not help. It's like having your windshield wipers go really fast during a really bad rainstorm.
Yeah,
it doesn't help you stay calm. So, but actually, I really enjoy that skirmish now. It's kind of like my go-to skirmish. So yeah, I mean, and actually, he's given. I think that's a really good idea. You know, if you do the skirmishes and the resource instances, then it's not so boring. You know, you can kind of pick and choose and switch off, and you're not doing the same one over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, and remember, a good amount of the XP comes from completing the skirmish and not just from the mobs. Right. So doing a couple of the quicker ones also could at least add variation. So I would tend to throw in Thievery and Mischief. It's not particularly lucrative from the point of view of mobs, but it at least... you get the quest reward at the end, and I think around your levels start to where the amount that comes from the mobs and the amount that comes from completing the skirmish are getting around the same anyway.
Okay.
Because I think at the lower levels, the mobs tend to be emphasized. At higher levels, it's the quest itself that's the primary focus on the skirmish.
That's interesting.
Now, one potential recommendation, though, is if you do, for some of them, especially maybe if you did Thievery and Mischief, if you're a champion and you think you could handle it, you could consider doing it duo instead of solo, because duo skirmishes bring in more mobs. And if it brings in more mobs, then that's, of course, more experience.
Mm-hmm.
So if
trying any of those at tier 2 is not going to be of any value.
Tier 2
right?
does not help your experience. It only helps you with your marks and medallions.
Really?
Yeah. So don't
kind
do
of
it
unfair,
at tier
isn't it?
Yeah. Don't do it at tier 2 if your main goal is experience.
Okay.
Now, bring it up a couple of levels if you wanted a deluxe challenge, or doing it at duo. Those are the types of things you could try. Don't do it in small fellowship unless you've got 3 people, simply because you get as much experience for duo as you get for small fellowship.
Okay.
And duo would be easier to do than small fellowship. So
right.
Now, of course, if you had 3 people, that's an entirely different matter.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's it for our question, unless you had anything else to follow up with.
Nope, just thank you. Thank you to both of you.
Very well, then let's into our week in LOTRO. And Ariandis, what were you up to?
Oh, I'm starting again. Okay. Well, like I mentioned, like we were just talking about, I've been working my way through Moria. I've been currently doing level 56 epic quests, which has been, fun and interesting. It's been kind of a challenge since it's my first time through Moria, just making sure that I don't get lost or jump off of things unintentionally. But it's been fun. I'm getting to the point to where I'm like, okay, I really kind of want to just see the sunlight again. But mad props to the people who actually just to the Moria expansion in general, because it's really well designed, and you really do feel like, at least from a new player's perspective, that you're however many feet underground or into the middle in the inside of a mountain. So I'm enjoying it so far, but I am getting a little antsy. So we'll see.
All right,
See how that ends up.
And you're doing this on Landreville?
Landreville, yes.
Yeah.
And one funny thing that happened, or at least one thing that kind of amused me this week was, there's a quest called Scraps of Shadow, and I can't remember exactly what area it was in, but it was around.
Should be near the tree area.
Yes, I can't remember what that's called. I know it's 2 words. I should have written this down.
Everyone calls it tree area anyway.
Yeah, the tree area.
Remember its name.
Near the 21st hall, it's the tree area. And basically, I was picking up a whole bunch of quests at one time, so I didn't read the quest text. I know, I'm sorry, I'm terrible. I know! I normally read the quest text.
I'm laughing because I sometimes, especially if I'm like getting a little bit tired, it's like I won't read the quest text, and I'm always sorry afterwards, but anyway.
So with this one, I go and I'm looking through the quest log on the right-hand side of the screen, and, you go down and you're like, oh, okay, Scraps of Shadow. Find the Bat Cave. I was like, wait a second. Find the Bat Cave? Seriously, though. So I went and I was like, okay, I've got to do this. I've got to do this one just to see what happens. So I go, and it's just, it's a cave in the side of the mountain or whatever, and you go in, and right across the front of the screen, as you get through the loading screen, it says, you have found the Bat Cave. And I felt like I made it, But I gotta tell you, Batman and Robin need to do some cleanup in this cave.
Is it pretty bad?
It's full of, what is it, bats and
bat guano.
Morval and stuff.
I thought that's Alfred's job.
I know, right?
That's
it's
true.
like, Alfred, you gotta get on this, man.
Actually, I guess Alfred, he's a butler. I would presume that he
would manage someone
staff.
to do it.
Yeah, he'll manage the cleaning staff, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, anyway, I thought that was kind of a 2 worlds collide kind of a thing. But, so that was basically my week. Maven, what did you do this week?
Well, I got my fake Glordriel to almost 110 running around Bull Roarer. So, people are like, oh, why would you do that? Somebody earlier today is like, oh, I don't want to go in there. I want to be surprised. And it's like, trust me, there are going to be plenty of surprises. It's not an issue. And to me, it's kind of like skimming a book before I read it. It doesn't ruin the experience for me at all. If nothing else, some of the more mundane and, dare I say, torturous quests might go a little faster once Mordor comes out, because I know where, like, the signal flags, I can kind of remember where the signal flags are now. And then when you get out around Mount Doom, you can imagine you've got this volcano, right? And it's got, how mountains do. They've got, like, crags and stuff coming off, you can't see my hands, but it's like, but now, because the mountains exploded, there's like lava coming out of all these places. So you're doing all these like collection quests, or, go find more orcs and stuff. And invariably, where you want to get to is across this chasm of lava, right? Mm-hmm. And then you got to go way down and around and up, and it's like, so I've kind of sussed out some of those, of course, not all of them. So, I think I'll have the payoff when I go in. Of course, it's going to take me ages to get to the Mount Doom section. I'm kind of racing through with fake Glordriel. Real Glordriel will take a long time to get there. But still, so I have a little bit of an edge. It's like, I remember I have to go down and around and way over there and then back up. Okay. So anyway, it's been fun. I got karmic payback for the under 2-hour Throne of Dread Terror run. When we did the raid last night, we ended up in what I have to call the torture of the Dread Terror. Oh my God. It was just like torture. And not for any real, let's see, I'm trying to think. So the Mumax, which is usually the toughie, for people, we did wipe at least once. And part of the reason was, I think, that all of our melee guys in the raid literally got batted by the elephant, all 4 at the same time, into the area where the renegade Mumax come. They all got smushed. at the same time.
Oh,
So
no.
that made it a little difficult. But anyway, oh my God. I mean, I was falling asleep. It was taking us so long to do it that by the time, we got to like the last couple of fights, I was like falling asleep on the keyboard during battle. It was really embarrassing. But anyway, that's probably more of a low point than a high point, but it was still fun. I mean, it's a good group of folks. And then I started planning, like I said earlier tonight, I was planning and collecting the stuff I need for getting my capped alts ready for Mordor. So, get my scrolls ready and dye. Make sure I had the right dye because I've checked out the armor, so I know what color I want to dye it.
There you go.
And get my crystals ready and all that good stuff so that Glordriel, at least Maven won't go in quite as quickly as Glordriel was, because Glordriel is much better fitted out than the Lore Master is, but she'll be coming up behind and doing it too. So anyway, so that'll be fun, and I'm getting all ready for that. Pineleaf, what about you?
All right, I'll begin with the field trip over on Arkenstone this week at the Academy, where we completed Volume 2 of the epic story. Yay! So that means...
Huzzah! Huzzah!
Huzzah! Yes. So we finished that up, and we also then went in the very, very beginnings of Volume 3. In other words, listened to a little speech about where various rangers are and collected the first one of them.
Oh yeah, the famous Elrond hologram instance.
Yeah, that's right. The famous Elrond hologram.
You'll love it, Arendis, when you get to it. You'll know it. You'll go, oh, this is the hologram instance. I get it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Then on my Evernight Warden, I reached a level 60 and completed a Volume 5, Book 5 in Volume 2, which meant that a lot of skirmishes.
And everyone is shocked that Pineleaf did skirmishes.
Yes. And then I concluded my Captain series, where I had originally planned to take the Captain series up to the gates of Moria, but I knew that there was no way in the world I was going to make that when they announced what the release date was going to be for Mordor. Because when I did this, I said this was just a holdover series that I was going to see how far I could take a Captain between now and the release of Mordor. So therefore, I finished it off by hitting level 30, then doing the Captain quest. And then my final episode was that since doing the Captain quest, of course, put me into the North Downs, and I was doing questing in the North Downs, I said, that alright, I am in Estelden, and oh, no, the greatest secret in all Middle-earth has been breached. I have to go into Doldinin and... in other words, run attack at dawn. But, and this is that 9-minute run I told you about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the thing is of finishing the Captain series. Now, when I was doing the Captain quest, it had been a while since I'd done the Captain quest, so I was remembering how the Captain quest was the first time I had done it years back. But I think the way it is now is the way it was the last time I had done it, but I had forgotten about that, in the original version of it, you had to do a lot of jumping. In fact, it was probably the single worst jumping puzzle in all of LOTRO, was in the Captain level 30 class quest. Sit there wondering as here we are, a class whose main thing is to inspire, and who's wearing heavy armor, and he's expected to be jumping around.
Well, I guess they just made you jump for it.
Yeah, they made us jump for it. But fortunately, they have since changed it so that you are now, instead of jumping, they put some bridges in between it so that you don't have to be a jumping expert in order to complete that quest. And finally, we have news beyond LOTRO, where Middle-earth Shadow of War Mobile is coming this fall. We need a mobile version of Shadow of War? Really?
I know.
I wonder if this is something that's been highly requested, or if they're just trying to get into the mobile game type stuff.
I don't know, but
One interesting.
These look like the various factions. One is Shelob's faction, I guess, and one is main character's factions. Okay.
Yeah, one question that I have, if you go down under the images on the article, it's talking about what you can get if you pre-register. It says if you pre-register for Android, you'll get a version of Shelob in her fair form character.
Yeah.
Does Shelob have a fair form, or is this something that they're making for the mobile game?
It's, well, not just for the mobile game, it's for Shadow of War.
Okay.
If I thought that we had an article last week about the trailer for Shelob.
Right, I did not get a chance to watch it.
90% of all the shots of Shelob, maybe except for one or two, that you see of Shelob in that one are in her fair form. And this fair form is completely made up for Shadow of War. And you've got to remember that we're talking about Shadow of War here,
right?
which isn't exactly known for its strict abidance to the lore.
And that's why I was asking.
And in fact, if you look at the image of the 4 images you see there, one of those 4 images that you see there is featuring the fair form of Shelob.
Right. The top left one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was curious. I didn't have a chance to watch the video last week, so I guess that's what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're into mobile games and stuff, this could be really fun.
So this is, let's see, that is for, they say it announced, but they didn't announce a date yet. Is it coming out the same time as the...
Oh, it's not going to show me. It's not listed in the article, but it does say that you can pre-register it starting now. So I don't know if there's a date, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, actually, Shadow of War is a free-to-play real-time RPG that's based on Shadow of War, I guess. Is that it? Or is Shadow of War supposed to be... I'm confused.
Well, it says the protagonist is the same guy from Shadows of Mordor, right?
Yeah.
Or did I miss a beat of the conversation?
No, that sounds right.
This shows you how much I've been... Because in case anyone hasn't been figured out here, I really don't follow Shadow of War or Shadow of Mordor.
I think Andang does, though. So if you have any questions, you can ask him.
Andang is the expert on this particular matter. Because I had assumed that Shadow of War was supposed to be a sequel to Shadow of Mordor or some type. But
this might just be a companion game to the PC game. So it's just the way that you can play it on your phone. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose that's a possibility. It's actual. Okay. So I'm sure somebody will write in the comment section to say how wrong we are on what Shadow of War is.
Yeah.
Please do. That way we can learn and be able to talk about it.
Meanwhile, we currently have 22 supporters on Patreon, if they all don't leave us because we don't know anything about Shadow of War. If you would like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast of your choice, or even be a guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. We did not receive any emails this week, but you could contact us at podcast@LOTROplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance at Players Ally, LOTRO Players at LOTRO Players, Ariandis at Ariandis, Maven at Tolkien Maven, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda at Sanswinda, and Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin. Players Alliance has 4 live shows every Monday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News on the first and third Mondays at 11:59 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have XP Quest on the last Friday of each month at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have LOTRO Academy on after school, and every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, assuming that we don't have technical difficulties, we have LOTRO Players News. You can join us for our live shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.